What if the person God designed for you has already stepped into your life, and you don't even see it? What if the answer to your deepest prayers isn't hidden somewhere far away, but right in front of you, waiting for your heart to recognize what your eyes cannot? That thought alone can stir something powerful inside you, because deep down, we all long for a love that feels destined, not random, a love that doesn't just appear by chance, but by purpose, a love that feels less like coincidence and more like God's quiet signature over your life. The truth is, so many people chase after signs written in lightning and fire, expecting God to reveal love in the loudest, most dramatic ways. But what if His way is different? What if He chooses to whisper instead of shout, to guide instead of push, to reveal through subtle signals that only an open heart can recognize? God doesn't always mark His blessings with fanfare. Sometimes He wraps them in simplicity, in silence, in the everyday moments we often overlook. And it is in those moments that your soulmate may already be walking beside you, unnoticed but deeply significant. Think about this. Every single person you meet plays a role in your journey. Some people come to test you, some to teach you, and a very few to transform you. But when it comes to the one God chose for you, the signs won't always be obvious. They will be quiet, steady, almost hidden, because the greatest gifts are not always placed in plain sight. They require patience, awareness, and a heart ready to listen to the gentle voice of God. Right now, you might be questioning love. Maybe you've been through heartbreak that left you wondering if true love even exists. Maybe you've faced disappointment after disappointment, convincing yourself that what you're searching for is unrealistic. Or maybe you're in a season of waiting, where loneliness whispers louder than faith. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. God is never late. His timing is never off. Every closed door, every unanswered prayer, every delay is part of a bigger plan that is aligning you with the right person at the right time. And sometimes that timing is already here, you just need to recognize it. There's a reason your heart is restless for love that feels different. You were not created for shallow connections that fade. You were created for a love that reflects God's own nature, faithful, steady, life-giving. That longing inside of you isn't weakness. It's a reminder that your soul knows what it was made for. And when the right person arrives, the signs won't feel loud or forced. They will feel natural. They will feel safe. They will feel like home. But to see these signs, you must be willing to shift your focus. Stop chasing after what sparkles on the surface, and start looking for what resonates in your spirit. The person God chose for you won't just catch your attention. They will capture your soul's recognition. They may not fit every detail of the image you imagined, but they will fit the deeper design of your purpose. And when you start to recognize the quiet signals God has placed in your path, your perspective on love will change forever. This is why you must stay until the end of this message, because what you're about to hear are not just ideas, not just opinions, but truths that will help you see with new eyes. These are signs that will allow you to move from doubt to certainty, from confusion to clarity, from fear to faith. By the end, you will understand how to recognize when God is speaking to you about love, not through noise, but through whispers. And that understanding could be the very thing that keeps you from settling for less than what was meant for you. So ask yourself again, what if the person you've been praying for is already here? What if the answer is hidden in the quiet, waiting for your spirit to awaken to it? What if the story you've been longing for has already begun, but you've been too distracted to notice? The reward of this journey is simple but life-changing clarity, the clarity to recognize divine love when it appears, the clarity to trust God's plan instead of forcing your own, and the clarity to step boldly into the story He has written for you, knowing that when he brings two souls together, nothing can separate what he has joined. Love is not a game of chance. It is not a race to see who can find it first. It is a journey of trust, faith, and recognition. And the moment you begin to notice God's quiet signals, you will never look at love the same way again, because you'll realize that the person chosen for you doesn't need to arrive with noise and spectacle. They will arrive in peace. They will arrive in purpose. They will arrive with the pull of destiny, and when they do, your heart will know, this is the one. One of the first quiet signs that you've met the person God chose for you is the peace they bring into your life. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is not wrapped in fireworks or constant intensity. It is subtle, steady, and unshakable. When they are near, your heart stops racing with fear and begins to rest. Your mind stops overthinking and begins to trust. Your spirit, which has been searching for safety, finally exhales. This is the kind of peace that cannot be faked, because it does not come from the surface, it flows from the soul. Peace is powerful because it meets one of the deepest needs every human carries, the need to feel safe. Psychologists explain that relationships built on emotional safety are the ones that endure, because safety allows you to show up as your true self. When you are with the wrong person, you feel the opposite. You find yourself performing, hiding, or second, guessing every word you say. You walk on eggshells, unsure of where you stand. That kind of love is exhausting, because it's not love at all, it's survival. But when you meet the person God designed for you, you will notice the difference immediately. Their presence makes you feel like you can finally stop pretending. You don't need to impress them. You don't need to prove your worth. You can just be, and that is enough. This peace reveals itself not only in what you feel, but also in what you don't feel. You don't feel the constant anxiety of wondering if they truly care. You don't feel the weight of trying to keep their attention. You don't feel the chaos of inconsistent actions and empty words. Instead, you feel calm, steady, and grounded. This doesn't mean there will never be challenges. Every relationship faces storms, but when it is God's choice, even in the storm, there is still a sense of stability. The foundation doesn't crack. The peace remains. Think about how powerful that is. So many people confuse intensity for intimacy. They think love is supposed to be dramatic, filled with constant highs and lows, passion and pain. But real love doesn't drain you, it restores you. Real love doesn't keep you guessing, it gives you confidence. Real love doesn't create chaos, it builds calm. That is why peace is one of the clearest signals of God's hand. Because the love He creates is never rooted in fear, insecurity, or disorder. It is rooted in His own nature, and His nature is peace. You'll notice this peace in conversations too. With the wrong people, words feel heavy, forced, or shallow. But with the right one, the dialogue flows easily. You don't run out of things to say, and even silence feels comfortable. You don't feel pressure to perform. You don't feel judged for your honesty. Instead, you feel heard, seen, and valued. That level of ease is not ordinary, it is divine. Your soul recognizes what your mind cannot yet explain, and in that recognition, peace takes root. On a deeper level, your body itself responds to this signal. Studies show that when we feel safe with someone, our nervous system relaxes, heart rate steadies, breathing deepens, muscles release tension. It's as if your entire being whispers, "I can trust this." Pay attention to that. The body often knows before the mind does. When you are with the right person, your whole being will testify through peace. But here's the challenge. Sometimes we overlook peace because it feels too simple. We've been conditioned to believe that love must be dramatic to be real. We mistake chaos for passion. We chase what excites us, even if it leaves us empty, instead of valuing what sustains us. Yet if you want a love that lasts, you must learn to honor the quiet gift of peace. Because peace is not boring, peace is not a lack of passion. Peace is the foundation on which passion can grow without burning out. Peace is what turns temporary attraction into lasting devotion. This is why you cannot ignore this first sign. If you feel safe, if you feel calm, if you feel at home in someone's presence, pay attention. That is God's whisper. That is His way of confirming that this connection is different. Don't underestimate it. Don't dismiss it. Because peace is not ordinary, it is sacred. It is heaven's way of telling you that this person is not here to drain you, distract you, or destroy you. They are here to steady you, to strengthen you, to remind you that love is not supposed to be a storm, but a shelter. Imagine what it would feel like to walk through life with that kind of peace every day. To know that no matter what the world throws at you, you have someone beside you who is not adding to the chaos, but helping carry it with you. To wake up not with fear, but with security. To move forward not with doubt, but with quiet confidence. That is the beauty of God's choice. It does not shake your spirit, it calms it. And if you have not felt this kind of peace yet, do not mistake its absence for failure. Sometimes God removes people who disturb your peace because He knows what's ahead. Sometimes He closes doors because He refuses to let you settle for chaos when He has prepared calm. That is not rejection, it is protection. And when the right person arrives, you will understand why the wrong ones had to leave. Peace is the first quiet signal, and once you recognize it, you'll never confuse love with chaos again, but peace is only the beginning. Because the person God chose for you will not only calm your heart, they will also awaken your purpose, reminding you that love is not just about comfort, but about becoming everything you were created to be. Peace may steady your heart, but the true sign of God's chosen one is that their presence doesn't let you stay the same. They don't pull you away from who you were created to be, they push you closer to it. The right person doesn't dim your light so theirs can shine brighter. They fan your flame because they know that when you rise together. This is not about empty compliments or surface-level encouragement. It is about a force that awakens something within you that you didn't even realize was asleep. Human beings are wired for growth. Psychology tells us that when we are placed in environments that challenge and support us at the same time, we thrive. Too much challenge without support leaves us crushed. Too much support without challenge leaves us stagnant. But when both are present, we stretch beyond our limits and discover strength we didn't know we had. That is what the right person brings into your life. They don't let you shrink into comfort zones that keep you small. They see more in you than you see in yourself, and their belief has power. Because when someone who loves you says, "I know you can," your mind begins to agree and your actions begin to follow. This is one of the most quiet yet undeniable signs. Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with them. Do you feel drained and diminished, or do you feel alive and renewed? Do you walk away questioning your worth, or do you walk away reminded of it? The person God chose for you will not weaken your vision, they will sharpen it. They will not strip away your confidence, they will anchor it. Their presence will feel like an invitation to rise higher, to live bolder, to walk more faithfully in the calling God has placed over your life. It's important to understand that this isn't about someone trying to change you into their version of who you should be. That is control, and control is not love. This is about someone who sees the best version of you, the version God designed, and calls it forward. They don't settle for your excuses. not because they reject you, but because they believe in you too much to let you stay stuck. And this matters deeply because the wrong person will distract you from your purpose, but the right one will direct you toward it. Think about how rare that is. So many relationships fall apart because one person feels held back by the other. Dreams collide, goals compete, and energy gets drained in endless conflict. But when God writes the story, the opposite happens. Dreams align, goals complement, and energy multiplies. Their presence doesn't feel like a weight you carry, it feels like wind in your sails. You find yourself braver, clearer, and more determined. And the most powerful part is that it's not because they force you to be someone different. It's because they remind you of who you really are. This is love at its highest level, love that awakens purpose, because purpose is what gives life meaning. Without it, even the best relationships eventually feel empty. But with it, love becomes more than two people enjoying each other. It becomes two people walking a shared path towards something greater. That's why the right person doesn't just ask, "How are you?" They ask, "Where are you going? Who are you becoming? What are you building?" And when you answer, they don't mock your vision or minimize your goals, they fuel them. There is something profoundly motivating about having someone beside you who doesn't just love who you are now but sees who you can become. It changes the way you carry yourself. It changes the way you face challenges, because suddenly you know you're not running this race alone. And when fatigue hits, when doubt whispers, when fear tries to paralyze you, their voice echoes in your heart. You were made for more. Keep going. That kind of love is rare, but when it shows up, it is unforgettable. This is why you cannot ignore the second quiet sign, because without it, even peace alone is not enough. A relationship that only offers peace but never sparks growth will eventually grow stale. Comfort without calling leads to complacency, but when love combines peace with purpose, it transforms into something unstoppable. It becomes the fuel that keeps you moving, not just in your relationship, but in your life. If you have ever wondered how to recognize God's design, this is the answer. Look for the one who makes you want to rise. Look for the one whose presence stirs your potential instead of silencing it. Look for the one who doesn't let you bury your gifts, but encourages you to use them boldly. That kind of connection is not ordinary, it is divine. Because God never sends someone into your life to distract you from your mission. He sends them to remind you that you were never meant to carry it alone. So ask yourself, does this person push you closer to the highest version of yourself? Do they make you want to pray more, dream bigger, live bolder, and walk straighter on the path God designed for you? Or do they make you compromise, shrink, and forget who you are? The answer to that question will tell you everything. Because the right one doesn't just make you feel safe, they make you feel unstoppable. They are not a detour from your destiny, they are a bridge toward it, and that is the beauty of this sign. The right love will never pull you away from God's plan. It will always point you back to it. There is a mystery about the way God works in love. Sometimes it's not the peace or the push toward purpose that stands out the most, but the undeniable pull of destiny. It's that quiet force you can't explain, the invisible thread that keeps drawing two souls back to one another no matter what happens. This pull is not born from obsession or desperation. It is born from something higher, something woven by the hands of God long before you even knew what love was. Think about how many people you meet in life, how many paths cross yours, and how many of those encounters fade with time. Yet there are some connections that simply refuse to disappear. Even when life takes you in different directions, even when months or years pass, Something in your spirit still knows. You feel it when you hear their name, when you see their smile, when you remember a moment you shared. It's as if time cannot erase what God Himself has written. That is the pull of destiny. It doesn't make sense in human logic, because it isn't meant to. It is not chance. It is not coincidence. It is divine orchestration. Psychology has a name for the powerful force that draws us toward people who shape our lives: resonance. It's the phenomenon of two energies vibrating in harmony, amplifying each other. Spiritually, it's even deeper. When God designs someone for you, your souls recognize each other before your minds catch up. You may not be able to explain why you feel so at home with them, but your heart knows. It's the sense that even in silence, you are understood. Even in chaos, you are steady. Even in distance, you are still connected. This is not about perfection. The person God chooses for you will not be flawless, and neither will you. But the connection is greater than flaws. It's strong enough to weather storms, to endure trials, and to outlast doubts. Because destiny doesn't collapse under pressure, it is refined by it. If anything, the challenges only prove how unshakable the bond truly is. Others may come and go, but this connection persists, and deep down you sense that letting it go would mean turning away from a gift God Himself placed in your path. The pull of destiny carries with it a sense of alignment. When you are with this person, life feels as though it is moving in rhythm. Opportunities open, doors align, and your steps feel guided. It's not that life becomes easy. God never promised that, but it feels purposeful. Even the struggles have meaning because you are facing them together. And when you look at the journey ahead, it feels less like a question mark and more like a calling. That kind of connection is not the result of chance meetings or surface attraction. It is the fingerprint of God pressing two lives together in a way that cannot be undone. But here is the truth. Many people miss this sign because they expect fireworks. They think destiny will come with grand gestures, dramatic encounters, and overwhelming feelings. Yet more often, destiny comes quietly. It comes as a steady presence you can't shake, a recurring intersection of paths, a gentle but unrelenting nudge in your spirit. It doesn't overwhelm you with noise, it whispers with certainty. And if you're not listening carefully, you may dismiss it as ordinary. That is why it's called a quiet sign. God does not always shout His will. Sometimes He places it right in front of you, waiting for you to notice. The pull of destiny is not always immediate. Sometimes it takes years to realize what God was doing all along. But once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You recognize that certain moments weren't random, they were divine markers, guiding you closer to the person who was written into your story before you even took your first breath. And when you grasp that truth, everything changes. Love no longer feels like a game of chance. It feels like a sacred journey, one where every step, every detour, and every delay was leading you to the person God intended for you. So how do you know if this pull is real? You know because no matter how much you try to move on, something keeps bringing you back, not in desperation, but in divine alignment. You know because your growth, your peace, and your purpose all converge when this person is by your side. You know because deep within your soul rests even when your mind wrestles. That is the unmistakable sign of destiny at work. And this is the most powerful part. Destiny is not fragile. It doesn't vanish if you make mistakes. It doesn't break if you take detours. What God ordains cannot be stolen, cannot be erased, and cannot be lost. The pull will remain steady and unshaken until the timing aligns with God's perfect plan. That's why you can trust it, not because it's always easy, not because it's always clear, but because it carries a strength that goes beyond human understanding. When you feel that undeniable pull, don't ignore it. Don't explain it away as coincidence or imagination. Lean into it. Pray over it. Seek clarity from God, because He is the author of your story, and He does not weave threads of destiny for no reason. If your soul keeps being drawn towards someone who brings peace to your heart, purpose to your life, and strength to your spirit, then pay attention. That connection may not just be special, it may be sacred. The truth is, love that is chosen by God does not leave you questioning whether it is meant to be. It leaves you with a quiet confidence that even when the world doesn't understand, your heart knows. And that knowing is the gift of destiny. It is the sign that you have crossed paths with the one God designed, the one who was never an accident, never an afterthought, but always a part of His plan for you. The beauty of these quiet signs is that they remind you love is never meant to be a guessing game. God does not create confusion when He writes two hearts into the same story. His signals are subtle, but they carry a strength that your spirit cannot ignore. Peace, purpose, and destiny are not just random experiences. They are three threads woven together to form a picture of divine alignment. When you see them, when you feel them, something inside you begins to awaken. You realize that love, the way God intended it, was never about desperation or striving. It was always about recognition. It was always about stepping into what was already prepared for you. But here is the truth that many struggle to accept. Recognizing God's chosen one for you requires patience and faith. It requires the ability to silence the noise of the world and listen to the whispers of the Spirit. Too often, people chase temporary emotions, mistaking intensity for destiny. They rush into relationships because of loneliness or fear of missing out, and in doing so, they miss the quiet signs God placed in their path. Real love, divine love, does not scream. It steadies you. It calls you higher. It strengthens the foundation beneath your feet, so that when the storms of life come, you do not crumble. There is a deep psychological truth behind this. Studies show that when people find relationships rooted in safety and growth, their nervous systems shift, stress decreases, healing begins, purpose feels clearer. Why? Because the right person is not just a partner in romance, they are a partner in life. They become the safe harbor that allows you to grow without fear. They bring out parts of you that you didn't even know were waiting to shine. And when you see yourself becoming stronger, braver, and more alive in their presence, that is no accident. That is design. That is God's way of confirming that this connection carries eternal weight. Think of what this means for your journey. It means you don't have to chase after love. You don't have to beg to be seen or fight to be chosen. When God ordains a connection, it flows with a grace you cannot manufacture. Yes, it will require effort, commitment, and growth, but it will not demand that you sacrifice your worth to be loved. Divine love honors you, values you, and protects the person you are becoming. It does not drain you, it builds you. And that building is one of the greatest gifts God gives when He places the right person in your life. But perhaps the most important thing to understand is this: divine connections always call you closer to God. The one He chooses for you will never lead you away from Him. Instead, their presence will inspire you to grow in faith, to trust more deeply, and to live more fully in alignment with His plan. If a connection leaves you spiritually empty, it is not from God. If it causes constant anxiety, fear, or compromise of your values, it is not His design. True love, the kind written by the Creator, draws you nearer to the source of love itself. It sharpens your spirit, renews your hope, and anchors you in truth. And this is why these quiet signs are so powerful. They protect you from settling. They remind you that you are not meant to live in confusion, but in clarity. They keep you from chasing shallow love and instead open your eyes to the love that will stand the test of time. Imagine what it feels like to finally recognize that you don't have to force what is meant for you. Imagine the relief of knowing that what God has written will not pass you by. That is the reward waiting for those who learn to see with spiritual eyes. So, if you are wondering whether you have met the one God chose for you, pay attention. Look for the peace that quiets your soul. Notice if their presence pushes you closer to your purpose. Watch for the invisible pull of destiny that keeps weaving your paths together. Do not dismiss these signs as small. They are heaven's way of guiding you, and when all three align, it is not chance it is calling. It is God saying, "This is the one I have written for you." Let this truth settle deep within you. You are not waiting for random luck, and you are not subject to endless uncertainty. Your story is being written with intention. The right person is not just about romance, they are about destiny. They are the reflection of God's love on earth, chosen not only to stand beside you, but to walk with you into the fullness of who you were created to be. And when you finally step into that kind of love, you will know why none of the others ever worked. Because nothing else was meant to. This is the power of trusting God's design. It frees you from chasing, it protects you from confusion, and it fills you with the confidence that your love story is not fragile. It is eternal, and when the time is right, no force in this world can stop what He has already written. That is the assurance that lets you rest, that lets you wait with hope, and that gives you strength to recognize the quiet signs when they finally appear in your life.